This is the video review for Transformers Dark of the Moon Deluxe Class Air Raid. Air Raid is it kind of looks like a commercial liner, except it has no windows, and it has an AWACS dish on the top. So, I'm not quite sure what kind of airplane he's supposed to be. All I know is that he's supposed to be some kind of reconnaissance airplane. That looks like a jet. It looks pretty nice. He has especially for a jet transformer, an unusually clean alt mode, although it's not perfect. For instance, the AWACS I think sits a little bit high, and if he doesn't have the AWACS on, well, it doesn't look quite right. He needs to have the AWACS on for the jet mode to look presentable. Then you have a hand back here, although, well, it is kind of a obvious thing. I don't mind it that much. And then from the bottom, instead of it being flat and flush like these here, you see a lot of chest detail. But for the most part, it's a pretty nice jet. He has landing gear here, here, and here, although none of it rolls. Well, the unfortunate thing about the landing gear, if it gets tipped back, he's not going to tip back forward. So he balances, he just can't be tipped back. So yeah, it's a very nice looking jet, and I like it quite a bit. Although it is somewhat small. So considering how small this is, you would think its transformation is quite complex. No, it's actually pretty simple. And let's get to it. First thing you'll do is fold up the landing gear. Take off the AWACS. Don't fold down the front landing gear because it'll have to be deployed for robot mode anyway. The AWACS is a mech-tech weapon, by the way. It does this, but since it's a deluxe class mech-tech weapon, it doesn't stay out, so the best thing that this thing can do is if you rotate the gun handle down, it turns into a shield. And I'll talk about that more later. So next, I typically fold these up because I prefer the tail to end up as an axe as opposed to some sort of flail or something. And then you will start folding these side panels up, and back here, up. Although these are double hinged, so they lay somewhat flat against the side of a jet. And then with all four of these panels folded up, you'll take this front section here, pull it up like this, and then you can pull up the top of the fuselage, and these will become the legs. They had two green tabs here and here that were tabbed into holes here and here on the arms. They're ball jointed here and hinged here. Open up the legs, split them about, and while avoiding the jet engines here and this top part here, rotate them down. Rotate them forward and fold his heel spurs flat. Next, take the wings, pull them up, rotate these back, and then take the arms here and rotate them down, forward, and rotate the hand here so it's facing forward as well. Take this down and around, rotate it like this, and well, this flail here is flail slash axe slash whatever it is. It's kind of awkward, but I'll show what can be done with it. And then the last part is actually pretty neat. You see, there are all these gray pieces in here. This is a fairly complex set of hinges that allows it so that when you rotate up the nose, it hinges everything else up too. You push it up as far as you think it'll go, and then push more and it'll snap into place. And this is why the landing gear needs to be out, because this can't lay flat on the back if it's up. Then you'll take this, rotate it up, fold in the sides, and then rotate the wings about it. And here we have Air Raid in robot mode. It's a very simple transformation, but very effective because he looks basically nothing like his jet mode. One thing to point out is, by the instructions, his arms are supposed to be like this, but this allows for very limited elbow articulation. And while it does look better, it keeps this part here on the inside, and keeps some of this mechanical detailing from showing, and keeps the fist more centered along the line of the arm. I prefer to have articulation than to have a perfect sculpt. And same thing over here. Although, considering that this is an axe, or a flail or whatever, and has quite a few joints, it's not the end of the world if you treat this as just an extension of the arm, and then this is the elbow, and this is the hand. Although, nothing quite seems to work. It's never quite as fluid, or it's never quite as graceful as you think it should be. I think it looks best as an axe, because like this, it's obviously some kind of weapon. Like this, it's, oh, the tail of a jet. That's great. That's great. I'm so happy for you. You figured out how to turn the tail of your jet mode into an appendage. So, with it like an axe, I think it works a little bit better. And you still have the jointing like this, so it's not like it's completely unposable. And then you can joint it around like this if you need to, and rotate about. Basically just whatever works for the pose is what you need to do with the axe. So, here's his mech-tech weapon. Honestly, I think it even looks kind of ugly out like this, and then the actual cannon part just sort of, it doesn't go out all the way and upside down, hangs down. This thing works best as a shield. And what's interesting is that this guy almost has a gladiator thing going on. A Spartan or gladiator or something along those lines, because he has a big round shield that, it looks like a shield that looks like it would protect him, and a arm that is dedicated to a smashing weapon. And then he has somewhat heroic proportions too, like this big broad chest. However, if you notice, he's starting to lean forward, having this shield up here and this axe here. He isn't the best at balancing. You really have to try to make him balanced. You'd think that his legs here would be, these front toes here would be long enough, and they are, but the problem is that if you look in here, the ball joint in here and the cup that goes around it is very small, so it's pretty loose. And in fact, most of the ball joints on this figure, if not loose in one area, they're loose in another area, so he doesn't have the best stability just because of that. It's fixable, but I wish it didn't have to be fixable. And who knows, it may just be something on mine. I'm gonna cut you with my axe. So yeah, a very good looking figure. For his poseability, his arms go forward, back and forward, out, rotate above the elbow, and depending on how you have the elbow oriented, he can get quite a bit more than 90 degrees. On his left hand arm, he has a hand that rotates around like this and out like this, which is great for the shield because it means he can rotate the shield around like this as he needs to for the pose. And then his other arm, above the elbow, about the same. And then he has a joint here, and these can move if you need them to. His head can turn 360. And his legs are pretty interesting, actually. The way they work is they're ball jointed, so forward, back, out, rotate above the knee, and then he gets 90 at the knee, and then his heel spur can move down if you need to give him more backwards balance. But what makes him interesting is that he has this joint right here, which allows for his ball joint to have quite a bit more range of movement. Like, he can do stuff like this, and that's pretty cool. It's not every day you see a Transformer with almost gymnastic able legs like this. Although it is, just because of the looseness of the parts, it can be kind of hard to get them to look respectable and stand well with this. Having the heel that can move around a bit is actually quite helpful because it means you can have him push his toes down more and still have proper heel support. So once you get him into a solid pose, he typically looks pretty good. And yeah, I like him quite a bit. He's not my favorite figure ever, but he is one of my, I do like his design quite a bit. If he were just bigger and had better quality control, I think he could easily be in my top 10. So his design is worth it, although this area here is a little bit weak. Most of his design is worth it, and I do really like him. And those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching. Stand! Yeah, just these ball joints are kind of a problem. And it's not just that the ball joints have him lean forward. He is kind of front heavy with the shield and that axe, but it's not too bad. Just need to spend some time posing him. And those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching.